Hi, this is Jackie.
Hi, this is Diana.
And you're listening to Home Bodies Only, where we welcome all bodies to join us as we break down and dissect shows that are on HBO. Because I'm not going to say this is an HBO series, because it's not. Originally.
It's not.
We are talking about Abbott Elementary. So happy it's on HBO.
So cool.
And
I almost like stumbled on it, right?
Yeah. How did this even...
Just kind of like we were trying to figure out like where we were going to go because we're waiting for some other shows that we've talked about. And it was like, boom, 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 boom. Oh, and I was like, that's not a HBO show. I was like, that's on cable. Like,
right. Right. I have no idea. Oh, I know. How did this happen? I don't know. Somehow it popped up. I had heard somebody talking about it on a podcast, but I didn't, they didn't say it's on HBO. They didn't say that.
Yeah.
And I didn't really think about it. I cannot remember how it popped up. Unless I might have done some kind of search for HBO shows that were popular and it might have came up and I was like, huh? And then I found it on HBO. I know. And I was like, we work at an elementary school and it's called Abbott Elementary. So Woodstock Elementary meet Abbott Elementary. Quite different.
Absolutely. And we're not that far from Philly, although our district is very different from this.
Yes. Yes. This is season 1, episode 1. They got real creative with it. It's called Pilot. But I think Euphoria did that too. They called it Pilot.
And a lot of the shows, I feel like NBC, et cetera, like when it's a lot of time, like wasn't Seinfeld called The Pilot?
Or Pilot.
Episode,
I think a lot of shows do that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's funny they keep it that. Like, I don't know. It's just interesting. So it's an office type show, like The Office.
Absolutely.
They break in the fourth wall. There's supposedly a camera crew in there doing, they're filming because it's a low, what did they say? Sorry, I'm so bad.
I don't know if they call it like low socioeconomic.
Or it was like schools in need or something, I think. Something like that.
Some sort of project.
Yeah. And I've never worked in an inner city school. I don't think you have, right?
Not an inner city school. No, I've worked in a low income, like they're like different titles that they call it.
Yeah.
It's like a Title I school or whatever.
Right.
But super rural.
Yeah.
But not inner city.
Yeah.
No.
And when I lived in New York City, I did volunteer at one of the public schools. I kind of forgot about this. And it was like a reading program, and I would go once a week and I would meet with this little girl. I can't even remember what grade she was in. And I would read with her. And I'd walk over, because I worked in Times Square, and I'd walk over. I think the school was more in Hell's Kitchen, it was called, that area. That's a terrible name. It's not really Hell's Kitchen, but it's called Hell's Kitchen. Yeah, and I would read with her, and that's the closest I got to being, I guess, in a city school. But I never knew I wasn't planning on working in a school. This was just something I wanted to do and volunteer. And I didn't really get to see the workings of it, though, I'll say, because I came there and I met with her, and we would all come at the same time, the volunteers, and it was a big school, and it was in the city, they're all called PS something because it's public school block.
Public school
112, public, PS, whatever. There's numbers.
112.
Yeah.
Is that where the players dwell?
Yeah.
No? Anybody?
Tony is in there too. Also, how many times did I go there? In Albany, which is a city. I did what the heck did I do there? It was
like practicum work or something, like internship?
It wasn't practicum, no, because I wasn't studying to be a teacher at the time. I wasn't studying speech pathology. Oh my gosh, my dog just opened the door. Like literally.
Oh, I love that.
I totally had it shut.
Listen, Shazy wants to be on the podcast.
She does. So, you
got to put your on-air light on over so
she knows.
Yeah.
Middle school. It was a middle school, I believe. It was I thought middle school age Spanish class. And I went in there because I was studying Spanish. I majored in Spanish, and I went in there because I think I was thinking about teaching Spanish. And I went in there and I observed or something. I was in there a few times, but again, so I really don't have similar experience. So the star of it is Janine, right? Janine, it's so funny because at one point, one of the kids calls her Erica. And I was like, wait, her name's not Erica? Because they were just like trying to call her, I think, by her first name. Yeah. Janine Teagues, right? Teagues? Or
Teagues. Yeah.
Teagues.
Something like that.
You know what's funny just about going, I just thought of this. Kids are a little, not obsessed, but they will ask me, they always say, what's your real name? And I say, my real name is Mrs. Hansel. No. What's your real name? I'm like, do you mean my first name? Yes.
Right. Yeah, so all the time.
It's real, though. They call it real, your real name.
Yeah, your real name.
Thankfully, they've never called me that. Sometimes I don't tell them. Depends on the kid.
Yeah.
Because I'm like,
Or they already know because they're like, I know that your initial is D because you emailed my mom and you said D Johnson. So what does the D stand for?
Oh, I've never gotten that.
Like, determined, delicate.
Delicious.
Thanks. Delightful. I mean, duh. Yeah, all of the above. Have we met?
Yeah. So basically, they're in Philly. They don't have, they don't have a lot of money. Not only is there not a lot of money, or there could be, the school is not getting it. And no one seems to really care except for the teachers, right? Like administration doesn't care, superintendent doesn't care. The principal is like
the principal.
So
this is Michael Scott. Like you got to have a Michael Scott.
Yes, I mean, he is like Michael Scott,
just clueless, but not likable at all. Like Michael Scott. Had, like,
Michael Scott. That's what I was going to say. She's an interesting character because. I was like, oh, she's not like a stereotype. She's not, she was more unexpected than I expected, I guess. And it's funny because my son wanted to watch it, who's 7, almost 8. And I was like, yeah, you can watch it. And I had watched it already. He was watching it. Now the dog's in here. Okay. You got to get her out of here. I'm just going to. Anyway, and he's like, who's that woman she's too happy. That woman's too happy. And like really mad about it. And I thought he was talking about Janine. Just take her out, buddy. Yes, we're recording. Come on, come get her. She's staying right by me. It's kind of funny.
Do you also have like the dryer going next to it? Like, what is that? No,
that's the heat. I don't know what's going on. This is a great episode. We're trying to make these episodes shorter too, so I guess I'll have to cut stuff out.
This is what happens.
The YouTube one will be longer. Okay, so I was gonna say. So I actually was like, who's he talking about? But he was like mad about it, and I was like, Janine, because she's like positive or whatever. And he met her. He did not like her right away. He did not like Ava.
Oh,
and
I was loving her.
Yeah, I mean, I like her. She's definitely
Mrs. Howard.
She's definitely something. Oh, I love
She's
Mrs.
spicy.
Howard. Mm-hmm.
There's always a Mrs. Howard in the school.
Yeah.
That is accurate. There's always a Mrs. Howard in school.
Yes.
Some of the other stuff, okay, we know, but we need some, some comedy here.
So let's do this. So the Janine is a quote unquote new teacher. This is her second year, along with Jacob, right? And then Miss Schwartz, who lasts about not very long in the episode. And
oh right, I forgot about her already.
There are 3 out of
walked out.
Yeah. Well, she kicked a student. There's 3 out of the original 20 that were left after their first year. Janine is very, like, it's stereotypes. Like she's not jaded yet,
No, she's the go-getter, wants to change the world. Yes. And she's like driven to succeed.
Her counting method, though, of like trying to count, that I don't even think a new teacher would even do that. I really don't. I think that they played that one wrong. Like
that's like a parenting thing that you.
That's a bad parent. That's a terrible parenting thing that sometimes
like you do that in school, you're going to get into a power struggle. All right, people, let's give some parenting advice here too. But,
and it's
in school we would never do that.
It's too passive and I love though how Miss Howard comes in and is just like, sit down. It's like. That's what I do, actually. I'm sorry. With it depends on the kids, but it's like, sit down or whatever it is. But you know what? I realized we don't have really many Miss Howards left in our school.
I know.
I'm starting to become the senior person.
Are you becoming a Mrs. Howard?
No, I'm not saying I'm her. Oh my gosh. I wish I had her power and effect on children. It's amazing. They're not really scared of me. Even when I get mad.
Remember, because I was in Catholic school up until my 5th grade year. And when we moved, and my parents wouldn't let me finish there, which that's a whole nother podcast.
Or therapy session.
Yeah, totally. Because I still wish that I could have bust, out. Yeah. Anyway, because it was a big change from going from a private Catholic school to a public school.
Yeah.
And as a 5th grader. Hey.
Oh, I know, right. Yeah. And moving. And moving as a 5th grader.
Moving across from like a suburb, we'll say, with a neighborhood to literally like cows roaming next door to like,
I don't think I realized that.
Big changes. Yeah, there's a lot we haven't unpacked that part of my life.
I knew you moved.
So I'll save that for another day. Yeah.
But
5th grade year.
Okay.
Yeah, but you want to hear this, Digger? Like, that's worse, is that they moved the year, like, my sister was, like, in 10th grade.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Like, going into 11th grade. Like, it was a whole... Yeah, my sister basically went to a new high school for, like, a year and a half or something by the time we moved there. Yeah, it was something crazy.
Traumatized.
Anyway. Totally. We're here. We're very successful. We're resilient. Thanks a lot, Mom and Dad. That was great. But anyway, my point was I had a lot of Mrs. Howards because they were all nuns. You had the ruler. Not that I got hit, but like they would smack your death. But they were very stern and like it was like a whole
nother level.
I mean, school was very different. Even in public school, it was.
Wow.
Nowadays, you hear stories, but we don't work in an environment, so to speak, like that of some of these stories. We're very fortunate in our district.
We are very fortunate. That's when I was watching this. I was like, whoa.
It's a very stressful job. What we're, as a school psychologist, you're a speech pathologist. So we have a different take on some things because we're not in the classroom all day. It's different.
Yeah.
But I needed this show for some laughs.
Yeah.
Because
it is. It's great.
Well, let's talk about like being in the substitute that comes in.
The one who got in when they're in the bathroom. Well, let me just stop. So the first time I watched it, I was like, oh my gosh, and we'll go into it. The second time I watched it, I'm like, wait a minute. Okay. First of all, there has to be a nurse. There has to be a nurse. So
maybe there isn't.
Kid, but that I find has to be unrealistic. And
she probably quit.
Exactly. And you're leaving your classroom unattended. Who's attending it? Like they don't have aides. They don't have they don't have a nurse. So who's watching your class? You cannot leave your class. Maybe they're like, screw it. I'm just gonna leave. So so that's kind of got stuck in my head the second time I was watching it. So I was like, this wouldn't happen.
She has the kid that comes in during lunch and he's just napping. Like that would never.
I mean,
you need to like with her going out to lunch.
Yeah,
she wouldn't leave a kid in the classroom.
Right?
You can't do that.
Well, they said he comes in like after he eats. I'm like, okay, I get you don't have money, but there's security at these schools. Like there's people in the hallway, especially little ones. Like, like I could see the high school being a little nuts because they're probably.
But I love that they did this at an elementary school.
The what? Oh, me too. I'm so happy. Because at first, I don't know why it didn't click. Oh my God. I didn't know. I really didn't know what this was about. I really didn't.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought there was stuff with autism in it. I don't know what, I knew nothing about it. Mm-hmm. Obviously it's won awards. It's doing great.
Yeah. And I think that I can tell that it's going to be a balance from what I thought in the pilot. I was like, all right, so we're going to have a balance of tearjerker moments, like tender moments with a lot of comedy to like funny, but like these little moments of like love and like, the sparkle, we'll say.
The best parts are the faces the people make. Like they're so good. Like when she's like, the rug, we really need the rug. Cause it's like Xanax. And she's like, like kind of makes a face. What was I going to say though? Yeah, the rug.
But I mean, we didn't have rugs during COVID. Like, all right, I know
we had the rugs taken away during COVID.
They were literally taken away out of our classrooms because of.
Well, all the
coming back
classrooms were
in.
terrible because they were, miles apart. They each had desks. Like my son had a desk in kindergarten, which you don't have desks in kindergarten. Yeah. Well, actually, Miss Howard did. Miss Howard had them in desks.
Miss Howard did.
All in rows.
Miss Howard, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. But rugs are important, but I'll be honest. I mean, I don't think they vacuum. I don't have a rug in my room. Yeah. I don't think they vacuum the rugs.
I do. Mine gets vacuumed every night. I could tell.
I think there's lines on a different person working that way.
Custodian person. Yeah.
Well, actually,
I can't wait till they introduce the custodial workers in this
now,
show.
You know what? Maybe now I should take that. I'm taking that back. I think now who we have working the night shift does vacuum on our side too. But I hope so. Gross. Years past, some of these evening people did not. I know they didn't.
Dude, that is disgusting.
Yeah.
It has to get done.
Yeah, the rug thing's good. Yeah, I was crying at the end of this. I was like, I'm actually crying right now. When soon as she saw him laying down, it just totally took a turn for me. I was like, okay, now I'm crying for the rest of this episode. And
because we all know, we have those kids. It might not be that exact case, but it triggers like a case that we're working. And the part of the show, I think the most accurate was I think Miss Howard was saying we are teachers and we're parents and social workers and we are administrators. That is true, people.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't work or know anybody that works in a school, 100% you take on multiple roles as an educator. I don't care what position you're in.
Yeah.
I don't care if you work in a classroom, you're a teacher, you're a support staff, you're even related service provider, a custodian, a lunch monitor. I don't care who you are.
Custodian just last week, or maybe it was recently. My timing is off. Took my son, helped my son out because he got pee on his. Who was pee? Now I can't remember because he spills things on himself too all the time. But he helped him and he brought him to a different bathroom. Oh, I don't think he went in there with him or anything. But
right.
That's not his job. You know what I mean? No. I mean, quote unquote. And that was very sweet.
But I think you really do because you take on, you're just there to do whatever you can to make this, I don't know, it's more than just coming to school. That's all I can say is that was one thing in there where I was kind of tearing up. I was like, that's a soft spot for me because it's so true.
Yeah. And it was good to see that finally, Barbara and Melissa loved her. Melissa, right?
Is she the one
Italian? She's the redheaded Italian.
She was like, of course she's redheaded. Remember Meredith in The Office, who was kind of just whatever. She would do some.
Was she redheaded?
Some questionable
Did
things.
She have red
and
hair?
she was a redhead.
Yes.
And she was just always whatever. I was like, oh, okay, we cast the redhead role again.
The fiery redhead.
She's the one who could get the guy to get the rugs and bake him a ziti, whereas Meredith would have done some shady stuff to get the discount on the paper or whatever.
Yep. Oh my God. It's true.
So that was funny.
I was gonna say, well, they finally had her back. Instead of being,
I like that. The lunch meeting, that whole thing.
That was ridiculous. Again, that would not happen. That would not happen in our school. Yeah, I mean, and we have a great principal.
We do.
We know he's listening right now, I'm sure.
Yeah. He listens to our podcast for sure. Shout out.
No, he's wonderful, and we do have good administration, and we do get paid very well. I'll be honest, right. And there's budget for stuff. It's very, very different.
Yes, we can make copies. We can. We're.
If a kid peed on our rug, it would be taken out and cleaned, and well, maybe we just get a new one. To be honest, I'm not sure, but Sometimes it's hard. Like, I can't order more than one ink cartridge. They don't ever want me to have like two for some reason. I'm like, this would save me and you a lot of time if you just sent me two. What am I doing with that other one? They're industrial size ink cartridges, which are great, but my printer takes
like, what are you going to sell them or something?
Yeah. I'm like,
oh, that's fun.
But that's another thing. We order supplies through the computer.
Yeah.
We don't pay a dime.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome. Like, we don't have to have parents say, we don't send a list, or I'm not a classroom teacher, and as a parent, you don't get a list in the summer saying you need to get a box of crayons, markers, pencils, folder paper. No, it's all provided.
Yeah.
Cleaner, everything.
New York in general, like some of this, there are some pretty, we pay a lot of taxes down here in the New York State.
We do.
Up here in New York State.
We do.
So that's part of it too, people. But and I do have friends that have worked in district. I mean, I remember working in the previous district where I made half of what it was bare minimum. And I remember having to buy stuff to kind of like make my office. And I remember at one point we were on like a contingency budget and we had to they were like trying to save paper and they wanted we had a badge that we had to I remember that they were they were going to keep track of how many copies you made. I'm like, this is where we are.
Did you have to put in a code? Did you have a special number?
Yes.
Okay. No, I know. I swear I know I had to do this somewhere.
Did that happen?
I think this happened in sorority. I could be totally wrong, but I swear I did a placement at sororities in Cahill, and I could have sworn you had to have a code to make copies.
They kept track of how many copies you were making.
Terrible.
And I know, terrible. Isn't that awful?
Yeah. Especially they're not making that's not okay.
And I do think that across the country, this is a thing about. I mean, even at my son's current teacher here, in my own. Mm-hmm. Where my kids go, they were like, we're trying to conserve paper, and so we're going to do more digital. Yeah. And I was like, all right, so is there a budget issue with paper, or are we really trying to save the planet here?
I mean, yeah, that's weird.
I wouldn't get the newsletters coming home digitally and the sight words, and if you need help printing them, can you print them at home basically? And I'm like, oh, okay, we're doing that.
His teacher this year,
okay.
Don's teacher this year is just doing emails. Not printing out a newsletter, but
that's okay.
I don't see that. There was no trying to save paper.
As long as I have the lunch menu so I can hang it up and circle what days my kids are going to buy, I'm good. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. What day is hot dog? When are we having cheeseburgers?
In our wait, in Kingston too, right? Do they get free lunch?
No,
they don't. Okay, so
they don't. They have to pay. Yeah,
that's because we are a lower. Our district is actually a lower socioeconomic status, I guess.
Yeah, I don't.
So that's another thing. These kids can have free lunch and free breakfast.
Yeah. Yes, I think they do get. Maybe they get free breakfast. I don't know. Anyway, that ended, so it's $3, or you have to load up a card for him. Yeah. That's all right.
Yeah.
I'm excited about the next episode. I definitely wanted to click watch right away.
Oh my God, I was dying. I was like,
this could be a binger for sure.
Should I do it? Yeah, this is a binger. So we'll do 2 and 3 together, right?
Sure.
I think we should condense them. Look at this. And we're trying to make these episodes shorter. We're not analyzing the whole thing. I think we just go over the little highlights.
It's the fun parts.
So I wanted to ask you.
I would.
What?
Yes. I was just going to say, I'd really love to hear if we have some listeners that love this show. I would love to hear their take about it.
Yeah.
And just their thoughts on it, comments.
Yeah.
As we dive in, because they're obviously, if somebody's picking up this podcast, they've watched it already. So spoiler alert here, but,
because season 2 is coming out soon.
What do you love about it? What do you look, all that stuff.
Yeah,
what
definitely.
questions do you have about working in a public school?
Oh, yeah.
We're happy to help with that.
We hopefully are getting new listeners. And so it's homebodiesonly@gmail.com. If you want to email us.
Yeah. And you can follow us on Instagram with the underscore. What's that one?
homebodiesonly_pod, I think.
Yeah.
And we have a website, and a YouTube channel.
Yes.
So maybe you're finding us on YouTube. I feel like.
What was your question you wanted to ask me?
I wanted to see your tip. You are not a classroom teacher, but you are a school psychologist. So, you have a lot of, you have interventions to give. You also have like behavioral interventions. Instead of counting, what should Janine have done? And instead of going, sit down, what do you think?
You think, as far as getting her students' attention?
Your tip.
Oh, I have some good ones.
Okay,
Number one.
Let's hear them.
Let's start with a couple of good ones.
Okay.
It actually, I do like the clapping is good, but I like if you can hear my voice, put your hands on your head.
Yeah.
If you can hear my voice, clap twice, right? I love those.
Right.
I was just helping a teacher recently. We were talking about the fact that she gets interrupted constantly during her reading groups, right? And I came in to get a student and she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I've got all these kids around me or whatever. And I was like, ooh, I got this idea. And I feel like this has come up before, but it was like fresh in my mind. I'm like, I have an idea for you. You got to get one of those little night lights, the squishy night lights off of Amazon, right? They have like a different, I don't know, cat, a dog, I don't know, like a squirrel. I have no idea. Anyway, I was like, and you put it on, and when the light is on, take it with you. It's portable. That's the idea. Wherever you sit with the groups that you're going to, if you're moving around the room, I'm like, take it with you. Teach your kids when the light is on, they can't interrupt you, right?
Yeah.
When the light goes off, you're available for them to ask questions, and then teaching them like you don't interrupt unless like you're bleeding or like, the emergency thing. Aside from getting them to quiet down, that's another idea of just like the constant interruptions that happen in like the elementary level. It's like everything is a big deal.
Yes.
So we were talking about that. Oh, I got lots of tips.
But
and then I helped another teacher.
Wait a second. Think about though, in that situation where the kids really maybe don't care. Like if you say, if you hear my voice, put your hands on your head, because they just don't care. And they're like, yeah, I hear her voice. I'm not like, what is your tip? If they're just like, or no, sorry. Let me do another more specific one. When she tells Andrew to apologize for hitting that kid.
Oh.
And she was like, 1, 2. Yeah, no.
See, I'm not big on the public humiliation and like I'm more in the category of when we're at baseline, we're going to talk about this.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I thought. Like, let's talk about it and pull them aside.
Yeah, like a little mediation.
Yeah. Yeah, and if a kid throws up in class, I'm not taking them to the bathroom. They're going to the nurse.
To the nurse, right?
Yeah.
I'm calling for the nurse to come to me.
Yes, teachers will take kids, and the custodian gets called to clean up throw up because that is a bodily fluid. So you also don't want the kids like the reaction to that was unbelievable. Like it was just like threw up.
Oh,
what happened? Like I would have been like, okay, get up.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that, and there's a lot more like preventative things. I think just like the way that like this again, like a teacher in elementary school is going to have like the lights lower. They're going to have music maybe, but we're going to have different types of.
Why was she playing Baby Shark and then couldn't calm them down? I'm like, turn off the music. Did they turn on the music? I don't know. That thing was like a little like, okay, no.
Yeah, the Baby Shark. I mean, we all know about Go Noodle and all those like caramel.
Like well, that's another thing. I was like, does she have a smart board? Like, does she have? I don't know. She was emailing, but
she had some email, so I'm going to imagine she at least had something. If not, she's probably working with a cassette player and the rewind button, which is fine. There's lots you can do.
Or she could use her cell phone. She could use her cell phone. All right. Well, we got to cut it off.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up here.
We'll wrap it up.
All right. Yeah.
So hopefully you'll join us for the next couple episodes. Excited to start this new adventure at Abbott Elementary. All right.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.